Hello everyone and welcome to this week's English commentary. This game was played in 1988. Red was Grandmaster Li Laiqun, one of my personal favorites, and black is Grandmaster Tao Hanming, also a very prominent and established Grandmaster. The commentaries from this book were from Deceptions and Countermeasures in the Xiangqi opening, and I'm very honored to have obtained the permission from Master Wenqing and Grandmaster Zhang to translate their commentaries for this game. So without further ado, let us begin this match. Red started with the pawn opening, black countered likewise, so this would be a pawn versus pawn opening system. Red decided to attack early with c2 equals to 3. Black countered with e7 plus 5. And red developed his right flank with h2 plus 1. Now, for the third ply, black played a very interesting move of c8 plus 4. This is considered very unusual because the main idea was for black to attack and capture the central pawn in this manner, but but by doing so, his own cannon rank will become vulnerable to attack, and the development of the black pieces was simply still not done yet. So in the match, after much consideration, Grandmaster Li Laiqun surprisingly played r1 equals to 2 to voluntarily give up the central pawn. Now this was a very bold move. So, but the Grandmaster was not afraid and he went it for tet. Okay, so two immediate questions would arise. Would h8 plus 7, which would seem to be the natural move to make, be viable? Let us see. Black would continue with h8 plus 7 also. Black will continue to solidify his defense. And at this point in time, by advancing the h pawn, red would be prepared to play h1 plus 2. So, but since black had played c2 equals 3, he had to play r9 equals to 8. If not, if he continued with c8 plus 2, attempting to play h1 plus 2 to prevent the black chariot from protecting the cannon, what would happen? Black would simply continue with r1 equals to 2. And all of a sudden, after making this move, black would have seized and commanded the initiative. So that is why red had to play r9 equals to 8 and cannot play c8 plus 2. Black will continue to develop his right flank. And after delivering a check to trade chariots, black will simply play e5 plus 3 later on to capture the pawn, and black will acquire a very satisfactory position. Red would not have gained much for his efforts, and that is why h8 plus 7 is not a good idea. Now, what about p3 plus 1 to prevent the pawn from being captured? Black would simply capture the pawn, trade on material, and the black pawn will now protect the cannon. And because of the presence of the cannon and pawn, red's right flank will become congested. What if, say, red tried to play p1 plus 1 to capture the pawn? Again, black would use two pieces to pin two of red's pieces to this flank. Black can also handle this situation, and from the way things would go, black would have achieved a satisfactory position. So back to the board. Red boldly decided to sacrifice the central pawn, which black accepted. And red would now start his counter immediately because he had to tackle the issue of black central cannon immediately. Black would move the cannon to safety. Red would charge the horse across the river to the riverbank, and Black would start developing his right flank. Now, for the past few moves, Red had exploited the fact that Black's other pieces were underdeveloped, and that was why he played very aggressively by advancing and pushing his pieces forward to fight for the initiative. Now, this was all part of a very tightly knit attack by Red. Now, Black had to move his horse to the edge file, this was to create some space for his material to be maneuvered, and it was a smart choice at this point. Now, could Black have played c2 plus 4, thinking that he would go for a checkmate? Let us see. Black would capture the pawn, threatening to check, and Red would have captured the Black cannon. So it would appear that Red would have lost some initiative after moving the horse 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. However, again, Black's 2 chariots and 2 horses have not moved at all. Black would now target the cannon in this manner. And the cannon will now attack the horse. From here on, Red would have a significant advantage. If Black continued with h3 plus 5, Red would cleverly advance his chariot to capture the pawn and thus dislodge the Black central cannon. And because he was far ahead in development of the pieces, Red would have a significant advantage. If Black played r1 plus 2, Black could again advance his pawn. So if the elephant captured it, Red would advance his chariot across the river, or he could also push his pawn over here and thus gain material. So that is why Black cannot think that he would have an attack going on, a rapid attack going on, by pushing his cannon across the river, and he would need to play some defense with h2 plus 1. But in doing so, this would give Red the opportunity to dislodge the Black cannon, which Red would now do so very decidedly. Now, after dislodging the cannon, Black's pawn rank would become very empty, and Red would be prepared to advance his chariot to attack the Black pawn rank and command it. Now, this is a very straightforward and desirable tactic. Skip. Now, Black played this move to try to gain back control of his pawn rank with perhaps a trade of material. But Red would have none of it and continue to attack with at full speed. Now, at this point in time, Red sacrificed the pawn to fight for initiative, and Black fell for it by capturing the pawn very nonchalantly. But Black would have to pay a heavy price for this move. Instead, at this point in time, it was imperative for Black to try to regain control of this pawn rank, and the advocated move would be to play r9 plus 3. The advocated move would be to play r9 plus 3. Now, if after trading chariots, Black could still defend stubbornly, and he will still have a playable game and have chances of forcing a draw. Unfortunately, he captured the pawn, and this allowed Red to start attacking with the central cannon, forcing the elephant back. And now, just within a few moves, Red would have developed all his major pieces. And this chariot would now attack the central pawn, which was a very devastating attack. And only at this time did Black try to trade chariots, but it was already too late at this point. So perhaps it was suggested in post-mortem analysis that Black could play a6 plus 5, so that he could try to defend stubbornly, hoping that Red would make a mistake and try to turn the tables. but it will be already too late at this point. Red would now gladly accept to trade the chariots because this chariot would have commanded the center of the board. As can be seen, Red's attack on the central file was very, 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 very powerful. Now Red was prepared to capture the elephant, and Black could do nothing but to move his advisor. And now he would focus his attention to the black horse, and there's always a threat of a checkmate over here. So Black would have to defend in this manner. Red would not be hesitant in continuing his attack on the black horse. And at this point in time, there was not much that Black could do, because Red would have many tactical combinations in store. The cannon cannot advance or the horse would be lost, and basically because of this fact, Black's right flank was congested. Now if any other move on played, Red will simply attack with c3 plus 3, and Black will be in an even worse state of affairs. Now, at this point in time, Red continued his relentless attack with b3 plus 1. Now, this would be a good demonstration of the correct order of moves in this situation. It would not be a good idea to play a4 plus 5, because Black would try to create some chances of a comeback with this move. And with r2 plus 5, he would try to prevent the horse from advancing and also capture the pawn, etc, etc. And there's also the threat of a smothered cannon checkmate, etc. So Black could have potential problems could arise, and Red's path to victory would not be as smooth. So because the pawn, the advisor was raised, there will be now the imminent threat of the smothered cannon checkmate. So that is why Red decided to attack simply with p3 plus 1. And basically we will be ending this game very shortly. Black will capture, and now would be the correct time to play a4 plus 5, preparing for the iron ball checkmate. Check. Again, king will now be out, threatening to capture the horse, and Black's material will be all over the place. So Black would be prepared to capture the advisor, deliver a check, forcing the cannon to attack, and Black will simply capture it, and there's still gain more material in the process of doing so. And Black's formation is simply torn apart, and that is why Black decided to call it a day and resign, as he stopped the clock to acknowledge defeat. Now, although this is a brevity, it shows how the pace of game of Xiangqi can change within just 1 or 2 plies. And a short recap would be pawn versus pawn, and this would be the move, the questionable move in Black's offense. And because of this game, nobody would ever play this move again, according to my observations. Yeah. So r1 equals to 2. Black will charge the horse across the river to attack the cannon, to dislodge it, and to take care of this imminent threat. And by this time, Red would have developed his pieces nicely, while Black would fall really behind in development. The chariot will now start to do a lot of damage. Mistake, r9 plus 3 should have been played, and Red will start attacking with a central cannon of his own. And once this chariot was also allowed to join in attack, the game is basically decided. Black tried to trade material to slow the pace of Red's attack, but it was simply too late, because Red's attack was simply too fast and furious. As can be seen, just by the 17th ply, Red had a very open position, while Black's pieces were cramped. If k5 equals to 6 were not played, Red would attack with c3 plus 3, and black would be in even deep trouble. b3 plus 1, b7 plus 1, check, and black resign. Now, although this is a brevity, I think it's a very nice textbook example on the importance of opening theory. And as usual, it shows the brilliance of Grandmaster Li Laiqun in the way he countered black's cunning c8 plus 4 opening move. Now, as I mentioned before, Grandmaster Li Laiqun was perhaps the top Xiangqi player in China in his heyday. That was back in the mid 1980s. Yeah. So if you like the work that I've been doing, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up for this video. Thank you.